Wild animals are simply not meant to live in captivity, so there are few things that can be as heartwarming as seeing animals finally being released back to their natural habitats. After this troop of spider monkeys who got an awful start in life by being born into illegal wildlife trade were rescued, they were finally given a second chance at life, and their reactions of seeing the wild for the first time is incredible to watch. A not-so-known fact is that cows feel joy and excitement like humans do. This cow that lived in confinement couldn't contain its excitement after being rescued and finally meeting some new friends. As of 2022, it's estimated that there's more than 550 Siberian tigers in the entire world. An incredibly special moment caught on camera are these 3 motherless cubs that were recaptured from poachers, being finally released to the wild for the first time in their lives. After being rescued from captivity, these 2 beautiful leopard cats got to start a new life in the wild, and it's very heart-touching seeing their reactions to nature. After being experimented on for 30 years, these laboratory-raised chimpanzees finally were able to see the light. You can even see them smile and adjust their eyes to the sunshine. Sadly, in many parts of the world, poultry farms are very inhumane, and hens live in extreme confinement, and some never get to go outside. Animal Place Group decided to rescue 3,000 hens that were going to be gassed by an egg farm, and they were able to see snow for the first time. Once this grizzly realized that he was not being relocated to another cage, but let free, he sprinted in happiness. In perhaps one of the most adorable videos to see, this tiny penguin is released into the wild for the first time. When an illegal zoo was finally shut down by authorities, they found many lion cubs being held indoors in cages that have yet to even see sunlight. This is 2 of them leaving a cage for their first time. A pair of pandas bred in captivity were finally released in southwest China after a crackdown on illegal zoos. And well, the pandas never looked back.
Without even looking back. The people are clapping, people are cheering, you're cheering him or her on. Right at the entrance. Well, there you go. So you can really see people cheering.
This is a group of rescued former research chimpanzees going outside for the first time. And even though they're a little confused, they seemed happy and even encouraged one of their friends that was hesitant to go outside as well. In Europe alone, over 350,000 rabbits live and die in laboratories. These 8 made it out alive and got to experience freedom. After many months of rehabilitation for these dolphins who lived their life in captivity in a badly managed zoo, they were finally ready for life in the wild, and they got to experience the ocean for the first time. Pangolins are the most illegally trafficked mammals in the world, and they are currently endangered because of it. In southwest China, a huge pangolin was rescued by the police and released into the wild. Okay, not sure how someone could possibly do this, but this ridiculously adorable lambs were living in cages until luckily a rescue team got a report from one of the neighbors and came to the rescue. This is footage of them running around a big farm for the first time after being rescued. This poor orangutan had been held illegally at a quarantine center in Jakarta for 6 years, but soon after the center got shut down, rescuers made their way to the place and found him in a tiny cage. And well, when one of the rescuers went to open the cage, he tried to bite him. Luckily, it calmed down, and he was sent to an orangutan sanctuary where he learned how to live in the wild.
Okay, for the journey to Borneo.
Grizzly bears are incredibly aggressive animals since thousands and thousands of years ago. When they arrived in North America, unlike black bears that remained in forests, grizzlies adapted to more open areas left treeless by glaciers. This is a release of 2 grizzly bears in Montana that had to be relocated after spending weeks in confinement, and well, they reacted very differently. When an elephant got stolen from the wild and got imported to a zoo that didn't have the space to keep her properly, she was forced to live in a concrete pit for 20 years. Luckily, this year the Elephant Sanctuary Brazil got notice about the situation and went to the rescue, and now she's thrilled to be playing with mud for the first time, while she's socialized and prepared for the wild.
Ground for the life. It's like, this is wonderful, it's my secret heaven, but there's more heaven out there.
These happy leopards can finally be free again after being nurtured back to health for over a year. "1,500 hens from wire metal cages were rescued from an egg farm in Southern California, and for their first time ever were able to fly. These 2 adorable calves got to run free for the first time. Many polar bears living in subarctic Canada migrate north every winter towards the sea ice. The problem is there's a small town called Churchill on the way, causing a safety hazard for the people living there, since polar bears haven't learned to fear humans, so they aren't scared to venture into the town. This polar bear thankfully was safely captured and tranquilized in order to be able to airlift him and taking him to his destination without anyone getting injured.
Woolock must work fast.
Once he starts moving his head and his...
These 9 elephants had the bad luck of being separated from their mothers once they were born, to be sent to circuses and illegal zoos. But luckily they were rescued by Sri Lanka's Wildlife Conservation Department, and were nurtured and prepared for their release, to have a strong chance of survival. This is the footage of them being finally free.
They'll do good.
That's our objectives and our target.
Yeah.
We are pretty happy.
Yeah,
What is happening
definitely.
now.
Well, they've got a beautiful spot to come home to,
Yeah.
for sure.
A confused alligator needed a little push to go back into the wild after years of living in captivity. An absolutely heartbreaking story to learn about is one from a monkey named Joe that spent 25 years in solitary confinement between 2 buildings in a slum in Thailand. But once the Wildlife Friends Foundation found out about the macaque's condition, they sent a rescue team to see his condition. And despite Joe being dehydrated and having a lot of health problems, they were able to nurture him back to life, and is living in sanctuary free from ever being in a cage again. A hippo whose whole life was being moved around from zoo to zoo was finally given a break when a rescue group took him in, and after months of training he was finally released to the wild for the first time in his life. These geladas, also known as bleeding heart monkey, were caught by people when they were cubs, and have been kept captive almost their entire lives. Luckily, they were rescued and released back to the wild. A 300-pound loggerhead sea turtle was stuck between two rocks and survived there for months. She was in rough conditions when found, so had to be taken to a care center before returning back home. But after 9 months of rehabilitation and care, they managed to bring her back to health and get to be back in the ocean.